Okay. And I'm going to share my screen. Okay. By thumbs up, who can see the mural, the Saudi Daisy mural? Can you all see it? Perfect. Great. So we will get started. My name is Melissa. I am the Director of Grants and Community Engagement here at ArtsBuild. I have my colleague, Brianna Jones, on the Zoom as well. They oversee grants and programs alongside of me and the other staff here at ArtsBuild. Welcome to the ArtsBuild's Community Grant Information Session. We will talk A to Z about this grant through the Tennessee Arts Commission that we facilitate here at ArtsBuild. You'll see the mural in front of you. This is a project that happened through ABC. It is on the side of Wimpy's and Saudi Daisy. Keep Saudi Daisy Beautiful was the grantee for this. They are demonstrating that you don't have to be an arts organization to apply for the grant. You just have to have an arts-related project. So this is the agenda. It looks long, but we'll move forward fairly quickly. I will keep everything on time. And you're welcome to ask questions throughout. So this is a grant presented through the Tennessee Arts Commission, which was created in 1967 by the Tennessee General Assembly with a special mandate to stimulate and encourage the presentation of the visual, literary, music, and performing arts, and to encourage public interest in the cultural heritage of Tennessee. So the mission of Tennessee Arts Commission is to cultivate the arts for the benefit of all Tennesseans and their communities. There's a vision. Their vision is a Tennessee where arts inspires, connect, and enhance everyday lives. So their website is there. Check it out. Join their newsletter. It comes out fairly frequently. It announces grants that would be helpful to you or programs as well. So we always like to elevate the fact that the Tennessee arts grants, 80% of them are funded through the purchase of specialty license plate. So you'll see that there is 4 arts plates, the Jazz Cat and the fish and the 2 rainbow and the arts one. So these plates, as well as any of the specialty plates, go back into our community and elevate the arts. So if you don't have an arts plate already, I invite you to go and switch out your plate today. You can do it before your renewal date is prorated. You're not losing any money by doing it early. And I myself have the fish. So ArtsBuild, this is my bread and butter and Brianna's bread and butter. Our mission is to build stronger communities through the art. I saw the names of folks on this Zoom. Many of you are well connected to ArtsBuild, so you do know what we do. But I'll do a little overview as a great reminder or an introduction to those who don't know. So arts education, the prime example of such is our Imagine program, where this school year, over 13,000 K through 5 students have been engaged in an arts field trip thanks to funding through ArtsBuild. Tickets and busing and teachers were all covered through ArtsBuild. So for an example, students got to attend the Nutcracker over the holiday thanks to ArtsBuild. It's a tradition for many students. So shared services, about every quarter we offer sorry, I have an ambulance in my background, if you could hear that. But we offer a workshop that supports professional development of artists and arts organizations. They are always free. Traditionally, they're in person, sometimes in Zoom. So keep an eye in the summer and fall. We'll have 2 others for this calendar year. And then advocacy, that's a huge piece that we're focusing on right now. Many of you know that next week is Arts Week. So we're kind of pre-kicking it off with the football club. This coming Saturday, percentage of the ticket sales supports the elevation of the arts in Hamilton County. And then Monday through Saturday of next week, there'll be events all week. I'll encourage Brianna to put the link in the chat for all the events for Arts Week. We would love for you to attend one or attend and tag us on social media, tag the organization that you visit on social media, and celebrate the arts. We also have leadership development where we offer, particularly for Hamilton County teachers and teachers who aren't traditional teachers, to come in the summer and the fall to do professional development workshops with arts leaders, either locally or nationally. And then grant making is where I spend most of my time, and what we'll talk about in terms of this particular grant. Let me see. I'm gonna move to the next slide, if it'll let me. Hold on just a second. There we are. Give me just a second to move all my things. Okay. So I'm going to read this statement. I know you all can read well, but sometimes it's great to hear it. ArtsBuild does not and shall not discriminate on the basis of race, color, religion, creed, gender, gender expression, age, national origin, ancestry, disability, marital status, sexual orientation, or military status in any of its activities or operations. These activities include, but are not limited to, hiring and firing of staff, selection of volunteers and vendors, and provision of funding and services. We are committed to providing an inclusive and welcoming environment for all members of our staff, clients, volunteers, subcontractors, and vendors. If you ever have any questions about that, you're welcome to reach out to me and we can talk. So the ArtsBuild Communities Grant Program, you'll hear ABC most of the time. It's interesting that it's kind of confusing because they have a grant called ArtsBuild Community, and we're ArtsBuild. It's just a coincidence, and it is designed to provide support for art projects that broaden access to arts experiences, address community quality of life through the arts, or enhance the sustainability of asset-based cultural enterprises. So you'll notice that there are 95 counties in Tennessee, and there's 13 designated agencies who cover those counties for this particular grant. So ArtsBuild is very proud to facilitate this grant on behalf of Tennessee Arts Commission for Hamilton County. If you're in the Zoom and you happen to be in another county, this information is translates through the whole state, but afterwards, shoot me an email and I'll connect you with the correct designated agency so that you can work directly with them. Okay. So ABC objectives, things that ArtsBuild's Community ABC grant program funds can be used for is to provide new or innovative arts experiences. So think of like your arts festivals, theater performances, concerts, visual arts exhibits, and craft shows. Think of it in a way in that this is a new elevated project and or elevated project for your organization that benefits the entire general public. Another objective, it affects positive change in community social issues. For example, in relation to conservation, health, and literacy. So for example, Keep Saudi Daisy Beautiful worked through this grant program to create the mural and work directly with an artist and community members to paint it. And in the process, integrated in conversations about conservation and keeping our communities beautiful. How does art help us do so? Okay. Brianna, there's a few people in the waiting room. I think Rick Morris is in there. Thank you. Other objectives include strengthen social networks through community engagements. And so this sort of falls into the other category too. Festivals would fall into this, but you have lectures and demos and tours and conferences and things of that nature. So this is an area that isn't often optimized in terms of ABC funding historically for ArtsBuild grantees who are applying. So I'd encourage y'all to think about if like your organization wanted to have a lecture series or do tours of some nature or host a conference that's arts related that would elevate the arts for the general community as a whole. And then enhance a community's identity and development. So we'll go back to the mural that is on the side of Wimpy's building in Saudi Daisy. So this was also a way to help with enhancing a community's identity. Public art murals help that in many ways, and how they made it interactive for the public was the artist created the main design for the mural, and through conversations with community members and got it on the wall and sort of did a paints by number experience for the community so they could come in and paint. And then at the end, the artist came back and did some finishing touches. And then one of the last ones is offer training for artists or arts administrators. This is also another area that we don't get a lot of grants for through ABC. So think about, what that means, a master class for a group of artists within Hamilton County or arts administrators. How could that help an organization further their arts engagement? Okay. Are there any questions up until this point? I'd ask that you unmute and ask them. If not, I'll move forward.
Hey,
Okay.
Melissa, real quick. I don't
Yeah.
have admit access.
Okay, great. Thank you for letting me know. I will let everybody in. Okay. Let's see. I'll try and see if I can make Brianna a co-host. Okay. Okay. Awesome.
And Melissa, I do have a question if that's okay.
Yeah, that's great.
Out of these objectives, so as we're looking forward to writing our piece of the grant, do we need to focus on just one of these areas, or would it be helpful to kind of integrate some of them if we do cover multiple?
Yeah, that's a great question. They can flow, you can flow between the objectives, so that's not a problem. you know, the main goal of the grant is to be as specific as possible of what you're trying to accomplish, timeline, artists being used with actual names and things of that nature. But, you know, weaving the different objectives together is perfectly fine if it makes sense for your project. Yeah, any other questions? Sorry, Rick, that we had you stuck in the waiting room for.
So I've missed 18 minutes of the presentation.
Yeah, and we are recording it, so
Yeah.
I'm gonna be very happy to send it to all of y'all at the end. Any other questions before I reshare? Okay, I'm gonna jump back. Great. So these are new statements this year, just to make sure we are all on the same page. All organizations applying for FY26, which is what this grant falls into. ABC grants are encouraged to read the Tennessee Arts FY26 ABC grant guidelines, which I will send you. Includes panel evaluation criteria. Activities must be broadly open to the public and not exclude any individuals from participating. Tennessee Arts is committed to funding projects that serve all Tennessee communities. As a reminder, all grantees offered awards will be responsible for compliance with all applicable state and federal laws. Update project accessibility statement in FY26 ABC application. How does your program increase participation for those with limited access to the arts? Applicants should explain what limited access to the arts looks like in the community served. Note that applicants are encouraged to meet the needs of the people in their communities, while art activities may not exclude individuals from participating. Okay, so some of the logistics of the grant. The application is technically open. You will notice that all deadlines are on Central Time, which is because Tennessee Arts Commission's main headquarters is located in Nashville. So the application must be submitted by 11:59 p.m. Central Time on July 1, 2025. I will highly encourage you to get it in as soon as possible. It is really risky to wait to submit on July 1. Applicants accessing the online grant system for the first time must register your organization and create a profile. So this does take a couple days, depending on things. So I would go ahead this week or early next week, if you have not done a grant through TAC before, to go ahead and establish yourself so that you can get in the system and they can send you all the things to get set up to then apply for ABC. As with all of the grants that we oversee, we are very happy to do a draft review. Because of the volume in which we deal with in terms of grants, we do have a deadline to ask myself or a colleague of mine to do a draft review, which is June 9th, 2025, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So a draft review, I can see in real time your application. So all you have to do is just email me and say, hey, Melissa, can you do my draft review? And I will respond, yes. I don't need you to send any documents because I can go in there and see everything. It's much easier to do it within their system because I'm not only looking at what you've written and making sure it's clear and has all the details, but also I'm looking that you have logistically done everything on the application correctly, such as the budget, and you've done demographics or explanations in the right locations, because this application is different than our other ones, because this one's done through the Tennessee Arts Commission website. So it will be new for some folks. Thankfully, which I will send the link, Tennessee Arts Commission has great tutorials about the ABC grant. So if you get confused and you can't reach me as quickly as you would hope, those ABC tutorials are a great resource. So in terms of eligibility, you do need to be a nonprofit 501c3 legally chartered in Tennessee. If you are chartered in any other county in Tennessee, that is not Hamilton County, stay in the Zoom, keep listening, but I'll also connect you with the appropriate designated agency to help you through the application process. Also, eligibility, local entities of government. So government departments, public libraries, public schools. I will talk about public schools later in eligibility pieces, but schools are technically allowed to apply. Most, if not all of you already have a unique entity identifier. It's a UEI number through sam.gov. So let's say you don't have it. You just go to sam.gov, apply for one. It's free to apply and to get, but you can fill out the application without having one. You cannot receive a check through the Tennessee Arts Commission without one. So sometimes folks start their application while their UEI number is being processed, and they have it by the time they need it to receive a check if awarded. Okay. Oop, I went too quick. Okay, so this grant is a up to $5,000 grant. There is no one-to-one match. In years past, if you've been with us for a moment, you knew that it was a one-to-one match until last year. And they are continuing that as well, which is really great for small to medium orgs where a match is challenging. Okay, and this is a picture of Charlie Newton with his young people doing art through Splash Youth Arts. He has traditionally been his organization has traditionally been an ABC grantee.
Melissa, I do have a question.
Yes.
So, as you know, I'm a theater teacher at the Howard School,
Yes.
but I also have my own 501c3.
Perfect.
So, would I be able to do one from each of those organizations? Like, could I do it for the school and then do one for my Black Arts Festival as well?
Absolutely. What you would need to do is the applicant needs, if you're going to do those both, one applicant needs to be the school and the other applicant needs to be your organization. So your organization can't apply twice. But if you have two separate applicant names, yes. Does that make sense?
It does, and I'll just a good example for me is that I've produced a play through the Black Arts Festival, but I did it in collaboration with the Howard School because I had students from the school in the play.
Yeah, and the school, like if you apply for the school for some arts project that's happening outside of school hours, and they're the main driver of it with your, your support and your guidance. But let's say you also Black Arts and Ideas has a project that's integrating school students. They're a partner. They're not the main driver lead. So does that make sense? So you would be the lead on that, your organization.
It does, but if my name is on both, that wouldn't make a difference because I'm applying for the Howard School.
Yeah, so your profile is the organization that is
Okay.
applying or school that is applying. So those have to be different.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah, and as you're moving forward and any of y'all are moving forward and have questions, I am super happy to jump on a call or y'all come in and we talk about each project and make sure it's all within eligibility. So these projects occur between August 16th, 2025 and June 15th, 2026. So that there is not a lot of wiggle room in that funding period, except if you have a project that is happening on or around Juneteenth. There are special accommodations for that day and around it. So if that's the case, please come to me and I'll talk about the requirements, because you can do, let's say on June 19th, you have a project. You just have to be willing to very quickly close out your grant. So they will extend it for those dates as well. Funding restrictions. So ABC funds cannot be used to support a project already funded through the commission, Tennessee Arts Commission. For capital improvements such as construction and equipment purchases, things of that nature. Elimination of accumulated deficit. In school curriculum-based projects, and I'll talk more about that soon enough, for endowments or out-of-state travel. I'll talk about allowable expenses in just a second. Okay. Let me see, make sure I took care of that. Okay. As I said earlier, this grant does not require a one-to-one match. Though some projects will cost more than $5,000, just by the nature of the size of the project. In your expense table for this application, you will convey all the expenses for the project. Let's say that the project costs $6,000 and you're having $5,000 covered by Tennessee Arts Commission. You do have to convey where that extra $1,000 is coming from to pay for those expenses that exceed the grant funding. So how are you paying for that other $1,000? Whether it's existing funds or you have another grant in play that's not TAC related, and you have private donations or a foundation is supporting you, the school is kicking in some money for things of that nature. There are explanations within the application, but the budget can be confusing to folks, and I am more than happy to walk through it on a call with anybody who needs that. So appropriate activities. So mostly this grant is paying for artist fees because similar to ArtsBuild, Tennessee Arts Commission is very committed to paying artists. And also other ways to use the grant funding is supplies and rentals. So for example, if you need to purchase, let's say, costumes for a performance, that would be an eligible expense. Rentals, this includes like venue costs. Marketing, you need to promote your arts experience, and so printing, getting posters made, things of that nature. It also can cover salaries, benefits, and taxes of those who are working within the project. So if it's directly related to the project, you can cover salaries. And in-state travel. So travel back and forth to venues and things like that, you can do a mileage rate based, I would use the IRS mileage rate, the federal rate. And if you need help finding that, I can send that to you. We're going to re-emphasize some things that are not allowed. So of course, capital improvements, food is not allowed through this grant. And so I do keep an eye on that. If you need support in figuring out how to get food for your project, because there is, the reality is hungry bellies have a hard time experiencing art. So just reach out and we can give you some ideas how to make sure your folks are all fed. And then you can't do out-of-state travel, cash awards. You can do artist stipends, but don't call them cash awards. Call them artist fees, artist stipends. And then projects happening during regular school hours. So what this means, this is super important, is a school can apply, another arts or non-arts organization can apply to do a project with a school. It's got to be outside of regular school hours. So for an example, Songbirds Foundation it's a current grantee who is working with schools on a songwriting project, but they are working with the after school program. So it's not during school hours. And so that one is eligible to be an ABC funded project. But you could not, let's say you're a dance organization who has a project that happens between 8 and 3, some traditional, whatever, school hours, that would not be eligible for this pot of money. And I keep a really close eye on that.
Melissa, I have a quick question, if that's okay.
Yes.
So if our organization is geared more towards adults, would that still fall into that hour restriction? How would that?
No, this is K-12.
Okay, just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, perfect. That's a great question. Thank you. So talking about schools, there are, arts education grants through the Tennessee Arts Commission. And so jump on their website if you're like, I have something K-12 that's during the school day. ABC won't cover it. You can, check out community learning, teacher training, arts pathway for youth success, the student ticket subsidy, things of that nature. And I can connect you with a staff person at TAC to support you in that. Two documents that I like to point out that sometimes do create confusion of what is needed. So you do need a corporation annual report uploaded into your application. This is only required for nonprofit applicants. It does need to be within the last 12 months. And so this is the website. I will send it in my follow-up email. It's through the Tennessee Secretary of State. Likely most people on this call are good to go. Occasionally, we have newer nonprofits who have not made it to this site yet, and I can help you get registered and get everything taken care of. If you do not have this, you cannot be awarded funds, and so it's super important. And then your board of directors list. It's very specific, and I'll send you these slides. You do have to have the full name, email addresses, number of years on the board, and length of terms. And so where people get where I have to go back and ask for things is the years, the number of years on board, and the length of term. So like the rotation, which should be in your bylaws of like how you rotate your board. TAC is very specific about that. Okay, so evaluation criteria. I'm going to go over this, but I'll in a later slide talk about who is helping us make these funding decisions. So the criteria is a 100-point scale, is artistic and cultural merit, community engagement and participation, budget and financial support, and operational practice. The follow-up email will have a lot more information about what each of these means. But this is what the reviewers will be, the rubric they'll be using while they're reading and scoring your applications. So if you've been around a moment with us here at ArtsBuild, you'd already know that myself, nor Brianna, nor James, or any ArtsBuild staff make the decisions on who and who is not allocated funds. It's actually community members such as yourself that are assembled to read and score the grants. And so for this grant, there are 5 reviewers, and one is always connected in some capacity to Tennessee Arts Commission. So I actually have a commissioner who's going to be on the panel, and then I'll find 4 other local individuals who are patrons or celebrators of the art and who can read and score these grants well. Interestingly, the timeline is long for this because it opens in April, and you will not know until after August 7th if you will be funded. So just be aware of that because it closes July 1. We do a bunch of auditing of grants. I, at that time, will be going back and forth with you about correcting anything that I notice so that I can then send, or Tennessee Arts Commission can then send the applications to the reviewers. And then in August, we have a panel. And what that looks like is everybody comes on teams similar to this, the reviewers and the applicants. And the applicants have 10 to 12 minutes to talk about their grant, answer questions so that the reviewers can finalize scores. And then what happens then? It goes into allocations and then approval through Tennessee Arts Commission. And then y'all are notified. So it is a process that I'll send you the specific timeline. The panel, you're not required. Applicants are not required to attend. I highly encourage you to attend because traditionally it's a great way to clarify anything on your application, give more information. It traditionally is helpful for the reviewers to make a really great decisions.
Hey, Melissa.
Yeah.
Hi. I was curious. So I'm not in your area. I'm in East Tennessee, and I am curious. So each area has their own local panel of reviewers. Is that understood? Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to invite you to email me where you specifically are located, and I'll connect you with the appropriate designated agency. And then
Okay.
that person, there's a Melissa in that area. I
Yeah.
don't know their name, but
Yeah, I think I have her email, but I'll contact you anyway. I was also curious if because you said that things like, so are supplies also considering like shelving to hold art supplies?
if
Is
it's
something like that
direct,
covered?
it needs to be directly related to that project.
Okay.
So, for example, if there's a theater production that the set includes shelving that's
Gotcha.
holding things, yes. But if it's just to buy shelving for an office, that would be a harder one to fund. Yes.
Gotcha.
So if funded, sort of some next steps just to give you an idea is you are notified through the Tennessee Arts Commission that you're funded, and then you're provided a contract to sign, which includes a request for the first payment. I do like to emphasize the first check, which is different than how we do it here. Their first check is 40% of the funding awarded. And so the other 60% is provided upon completion of project and final report. So please be aware of that. Once you are notified that you have been awarded, you will revise your budget if needed. If, let's say, you were not awarded the full ask, you will revise your budget based on what you were awarded. And then there's a Title VI training in your organizational profile that needs to be completed. Everything needs to be done by or before October 1, so that you stay in good standing and able to be funded. And I will send all of this, these slides to you, but these are some really important links and things of that nature through the Tennessee Arts Commission, the grants page, tutorials, the grant system, and also the UEI. Okay, I am going to unshare so that I can see everyone. I do not know why my background makes me look pink. I don't know if y'all can see that too. It does that. It likes to mess with me. I'm very type A Aries, and it's like, I'm gonna mess with you. So sorry about that. What questions do you all have? No? Okay. I know we have a few folks, maybe one or two folks who on here who have. I'm gonna put maybe Ryan, if you're listening, on the stage to talk about his current ABC grant and give any feedback he has about the process.
Yeah, we are currently in rehearsals for our ABC grant for last year. Much Ado About Nothing with Scenic City Shakespeare. We open, Antine, help me out here, on May 16th.
I think, yeah, May 15th or 16th.
Fridays and Saturdays at Greenway Farms. And thanks to ABC and CCC this year, the Community Cultural Connections Grant, we are able to pay all of our actors and our crew and bring the show to the park for free for a whole month.
Thank you, Ryan and Teen. So yes, that's a great example of ArtsBuild community grant funds in action. So just some brief reminders. You don't have to be an arts organization. Just as long as arts are center stage, you think broadly and widely of the impact of your grant. Utilize myself and our other staff members to help you flesh it out. More details are better for this grant, specific names of artists, timelines, things of that nature, venues. You don't want the reviewers. You want the reviewers to have as little questions as possible. So if you know the venue or things of that nature, they don't have to overthink. They can score you very clearly. So yeah. Great. It looks like there's probably not any other questions. So what will happen now, I'm going to re-encourage y'all to engage with us next week for Arts Week. There is a lot happening. It's Brianna put the link in our chat. Join as you can. If you have questions for me, my email is in the chat. You will everybody who registered will get the recording for this, slides, pertinent links and things of that nature. And please start sooner than later on this application because it does take longer than our traditional applications. And so that's a little an awareness that I want to give you all. Awesome. I'm going to stop recording and I will hang.
Sorry, Melissa, I will say one thing.
Yeah.
One other thing. Do what she says. Email her if you have a question about this grant. Email her. She will make your life so much easier. It's what she does, and she's really, really good at it. I already have a grant, so I can say that.
Yes, thank you, Ryan. And he was
But
not
really,
paid
she
for
will
that.
help you. She's yeah. Email
Thank you.
Melissa.